What's a film?
All right, welcome back to the second episode of the What the Film podcast. My name is Tristan. I'm joined by Chad. Today we are going to be talking about a lot of different things today, mostly our favorites, our least favorites, our most surprised movies that we've seen, and disappointing movies we've seen. We're going to talk about 2 TV shows that we love, and then also go into our movie of the month, which, if you saw last episode, we spun the wheel and it was Sorry to Bother You, film directed by Boots Riley, starring Lakeith Stanfield. But before we talk about, our least favorites and favorites, last episode you brought up a good question of bad castings in movies, right? Do you have any on the top of your head that you considered, bad?
I struggled with this because, like I said, even in the last episode, I think it's actually hard because I think Hollywood and even independent films, there is a very well-oiled machine. They usually do pick the right person. Now, I found it easier to find situations where they replace a role and it's not as good, right? So I think Batman, right? Or from going from Batman Begins, to the second one, they recast the role for Maggie Gyllenhaal, right? And I kind of think that was a sidestep. She is a stronger actress and a stronger character, maybe, in that way. But I thought it took away from the vulnerability and, just how that role was originally portrayed by, now all of a sudden, Katie Holmes. I thought that it lost something in that realm. Now, it didn't technically matter because that whole second Batman was led completely by Heath Ledger and he steamrolled basically the whole show. But I thought it would have been cool to see the Joker, when he crashes the party, instead of, getting there with the stronger version of the character with Maggie Gyllenhaal. If that was Katie Holmes, I think there could have been a little bit of vulnerability there that would have been terrifying, right? So I think it was a miscast in that way.
For sure. I will say, speaking of Batman, I think when you're talking about, those recastings and whatnot, going from Batman 89 to Batman Returns, and then you get Batman and Robin and Batman Forever, which I think Batman and Robin and Batman Forever are terrible casted across the board. I thought, Uma Thurman playing Poison Ivy, or was that Uma Thurman?
Yeah,
right? Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was terrible. She's a great actress, but it was a terrible casting. George Clooney as Batman.
It was cartoonish. It sort of went too cartoon in that realm. Where I think the Tim Burton ones were so imaginative. I mean, they were comic booky for sure, but they weren't cartoonish, if that makes sense. And I look at it, it depends what role in Batman you're doing, right? Michael Keaton was a great Batman and Bruce Wayne. Val Kilmer was a great Batman, but not such a great Bruce Wayne. George Clooney was a good Bruce Wayne, not a good Batman. And then Christian Bale, I think, probably was good at neither, really. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I know maybe some people love him in that role. But, yeah, that was sort of some missing. And those, I think, are prime examples of just the money machine of Hollywood saying, look, Batman's hot. It doesn't matter. Let's throw another star in there, and we're going to make money. And they did either way, mostly. So I think that's just the machine working as designed. But I can't really think of. And I know they're out there. For some reason, I just couldn't put it in my head where I'm like, that person should not have played that role. Good. If you have some. Please.
I have 3 movies that I'm just remembering of bad movies, but their cast was also just as bad. Do you remember Emilia Perez movie from last year's Oscar?
Yes. It was the musical, right? It was a yeah.
I thought the acting in that was awful, and the casting
really
were.
It was loved. It was a loved film, though. It was a loved film.
Yeah, I mean, had 13 nominations that won the last year, and Zoe Saldana actually won the Best Supporting Actress
Right.
for that performance. But I totally disagree with that entirely.
Huh.
Um,
Okay.
and then, yeah. So also speaking of superheroes, the Madam Web movie was awfully casted. I mean, like that whole even any of the Sony Spider-Man movies, I think are terribly casted. I don't know. That's just something.
So even like, so you're thinking like Andrew Garfield should not have
so
been.
Non Spider-Man Spider-Man.
Oh, non Spider-Man. I got it.
Like Venom, Madam Web, Morbius.
So you think Tom Hardy
Hunter.
should not have been Venom?
No, not Eddie Brock Venom, at least.
Okay. I can kind of see that. I've always saw Eddie Brock as a
he's a jock-ish, but he's not like, you know what I mean? He's not like not Tom Hardy, like, big and brawny and stuff.
Okay, you just popped one in my head. Thank God. We're talking about comic book movies. So prior to you being born, comic book movies were not a big thing. Okay, there was no Marvel juggernaut. There was no DC universe. There was nothing. Okay, I mean, nothing. Right? Comic book nerds had to stay in the comic book store where they belonged, where we belonged, and you didn't give a shit about the movies. They attempted some, however, some bad ones. So even and thank God Tim Burton brought in the Batman, and it was epic. And thank God at some point they actually did Iron Man correctly. But prior to that, Dolph Lundgren was cast as the Punisher. And that is one of the worst ideas ever. The movie had nothing in it. There was no merit. It was almost like they didn't even read the comic books, honestly. It was a cheap action movie.
With Kevin Nash playing one of the villains, or was that the other Punisher movie?
Kevin Nash, that's the other Punisher movie. Yeah, there were a few bad ones before we got the fantastic one show that we have today. Those, at least, I feel the other Punisher movies at least read the comics and weren't just like, hey, this is just going to be an action, a 1980s action movie, which in their own right are great movies. But it was insulting to the comic book world, in my opinion, and it was absolutely god awful. I understand why they did it. He was a huge action star in the '80s. I get it, but it was just a dumb idea, and unfortunately, somebody paid millions of dollars to get it done. So but to me, it is hard to get bad. I mean. Some people were cast and didn't make it, like Eric Stoltz, right? Eric Stoltz was originally Marty McFly in Back to the Future, and they actually filmed the whole goddamn thing, right? So, but I haven't seen it, so I don't know if I could say that was a poor casting and Michael J. Fox was better. He was obviously epic, but I don't know if I could say he's better, right? So I don't know. So there's weird things like that happen with casting. I don't know. What
But yeah, speaking of castings and that, so this year at the Oscars we talked about the new award for best casting. Let's kind of have like a what if this award was always there, right? Some movies would have gotten more Oscars, I think. Thinking of some past ones, like Oppenheimer surely gets that best casting award that year, right? Everything Everywhere All at Once had, it swept the
they already swept.
So given the best casting, right?
So do you think? But so the question is, do you think that the best casting is always going to be an ensemble cast? Always, right? Because sometimes it's just the star, right? Sometimes it's just the star. What if, James Franco was in whatever the 27 Hours? It was just him, right? Is that not considered?
Right.
Does it always have to be an ensemble? Aaron Brockovich won so many awards, and it was Julia Roberts and Albert Finney. That was it. But they were both amazing. So would that not count? right? Does it always have to be this big ensemble cast? Sure, I would think Boogie Nights would have won, Goodfellas would have won, Goonies would have won, 12 Angry Men would have won. But I don't know. Does it always have to be that? What if Batman? What about 89 Batman? It's not a huge ensemble cast, but for crying out loud. Yeah, that was a fantastic cast.
It's really like, well, because like in Castaway, right? That's just Tom Hanks and a volleyball.
Yeah.
And that perfectly casted in that role. So I guess we'll see in like years' times if, you know, what direction they really want, or is it just the best ensemble cast in that year?
Right.
Which
also,
if we're doing that, then yeah, Avengers, Endgame, Infinity War, Doomsday.
Oh, sure. Right.
They're just gonna get the award.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings all three of them.
Right.
Here's a thought. Just like they kind of do now, we mentioned it last time for the Oscars. They have sometimes we might feel like they give it to somebody based on their body of work, not just that one, right? Denzel might have won it for Training Day because he also lost it for so many other great roles, right? Maybe. I'm not saying that's really what happens. I'm just saying possibly.
Right.
Maybe they do that for casting too because they haven't had it for so long. So maybe the casting director who also did cast, you know, Love Actually and all these other films that maybe they should have won, now they do another film and they're like, hey, yeah, they're going to get that this time too, right? Maybe.
Right.
I don't know.
Who knows? But yeah, I mean, that's also something to think about with just, you know, Oscars in general. Are they giving it to the person that needs it right now, or it's just a culmination of their career? Like we said with PTA, did he deserve it for one battle? No, not really. It was a good movie, but yeah.
But he should have won it for Boogie Nights, Magnolia, and The Master. For crying out loud.
Right. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much our retrospective for the casting stuff. So,
if anybody has any other great casted or poorly cast, if you're like, I really thought this person was terrible in the role, let us know. Put it in the comments. I don't know, because I'm having a hard time coming up with it.
Right. But with that being said, let's get into our main topic today. Lists.
Sure.
We have 4. It's getting hot in here, huh?
It's getting hot.
We're gonna talk about a couple of, you know, lists that we have here. Our favorite movies, least favorite movies, our most surprising movies that we've seen that went in with maybe low expectations, came out mind blown, and the most disappointing ones, which is obvious, going to a high expectation and it does not live up to those.
Does not live up to it.
What do you want to start with?
I say best. Let's set the bar high, right? What are the best movies? So obviously, if you ask me my favorite movies, I will, off the top of my head, list probably like 30. So I'm not gonna go that in depth with my favorite movies because I will be here all fucking day and you have to edit hours of footage. I can give a few, and I'll briefly give the reasons. So number one probably is going to be Jaws. Hands down, the most perfect film ever made. It's a perfect filmmaker's film too because one, it has the greatest monologue for an actor. It has suspense. It teaches you as a filmmaker that when you can't get something right, change it. He couldn't get the shark. Steven Spielberg could not get the shark to work. Originally, we would have seen the shark a lot more in the movie. It didn't work. He had to pivot and show it less. And what that did was make it way more creepy. And it worked 1,000 times better, right? So that teaches you in filmmaking, if something just isn't working, man, you got to quickly pivot to something else. And something else will come out of that, right? Also, it holds up far better than any other movie in the theater that I've ever seen, ever. I've seen 1,000 horror movies, not once, ever. And I've seen this 3 times in the theater recently, within the past, few years. I've never seen an entire audience jump all at once, and all with the right parts. Never. And these people have seen it a billion times like me. And they're still, at the same time, never seen it. So it holds up 100%. personally for me, I seen this at a very young age. No lie that my family will tell this story over and over. 3 or 4 years old, I'm just sitting there and some guy comes in to fix the stove, you know, a repairman. He's fixing the stove in the kitchen. I run in there with my fake gun and I just go, "Smile, you son of a bitch." Like, no lie, I love Jaws. Absolutely is one of the reasons why I even took up a camera to do any kind of filmmaking. Star Wars has to also be in there. Now, Star Wars was unbelievable, and Star Wars, for whatever you think of it and whatever geekness comes with it and the world that is Star Wars, it is absolutely a testament to the power of cinema. Star Wars transformed everything. It took children who, in whatever world you were, even if you had a good childhood, if you had a shitty childhood, if you were poor, you know, whatever, if you were rich, it didn't matter. You saw Star Wars and you were transported to another fucking universe. And you wanted to be Luke Skywalker. You wanted to be Han Solo. Like, this was teaching imagination and teaching that dream to children. And, I mean, that's why they bought all the toys. That's why you collected all the stuff. That's why adults today go to Comic-Cons and events dressed as the characters. It affected people that much. One film. Sure, he made all the other ones, but that one film, bam, it kicked off the races to worldly imagination, and it's so beautiful that kids can have that, a dream, right? You're looking up at the stars, you're like, what the fuck's going on up there? Oh, a war? I want to be up there. You know, there's goodness to it. There's, technically it's a Western, honestly. Like, the storyline is actually from a Western. And so it was, again, shaped so much of my life and so many other people that I know lives. That has to be on the list, right? 12 Angry Men. That's a film that should be taught and shown to children from grade 1 every year. They should re-show it because it is such a powerful film that people need to understand. Think about this. This is the 1950s. This was a play. But then Sidney Lumet, who was a Jewish filmmaker from Philadelphia, by the way, Philly, this is his first film. He makes this film based on this play, and it's so powerful. It talks about things that weren't necessarily being talked outright without arguments then. So he's thinking, how do you have this discussion without people getting all pissed off and nobody listening to each other? Well, you make a film about it. You put it in this courtroom in this very specific scenario. Now we can have an open discussion about racism, about bigotry, right? About poor and rich. And it just works. This is a movie that no matter, if I'm scrolling through Comcast and it's on, no matter what part it's at, I'm going to put it on and I'm going to watch it to the fucking end because it's riveting. The acting in it is so fantastic. It's absolutely riveting. Sidney, I mean, and this is his first film. Sidney Lumet's body of work as a filmmaker is so amazing. You don't even know. You've seen his movies. He did The Wiz. Right? He's the director of The Wiz. He did Dog Day Afternoon. He did The Verdict. He did so many classic, amazing films that's always has a social justice side to it. Super important. So 12 Angry Men, 100% one of my favorite films of all time. Okay. Without going over, because I don't want you to have to edit the shit out of this. I'll have to say Fear and Loathing Las Vegas. Just because Terry Gilliam is one of my favorite filmmakers, and Hunter S. Thompson is my favorite writer of all time. And when I found out they were going to be married in a movie together, I'm like, what the fuck? He actually did a movie, Fear and Loathing, which was a book that was trying to get made for years. Martin Scorsese was even going to do it. Jim Belushi was going to do it. I mean, it's been around for years. Couldn't get it done because it's a very difficult film to sell. Terry Gilliam did it correctly. I mean, he did it correctly. And it was perfectly cast. It was fantastic. And it was good. It was a good representation of Hunter S. Thompson's work as a writer, but I loved it, absolutely. It came out when I was in film school, too, so I was just like, oh, my God. Taxi Driver. I'm gonna have to put that on the list. So this again is the power of cinema. Taxi Driver, especially if you see it in the theater, is one of the most powerful, grittiest, wildest movies. Martin Scorsese, very early Martin Scorsese, so he's still kind of learning his movements, and you kind of get that, though. You still have that, beautifully glided camera, the slow things that he does. It's such a methodical film. It's very slow, and then it just sort of builds into this craziness. It's about a Vietnam vet who is a taxi driver in New York City, surrounded by filth, surrounded by racism, surrounded by crime, surrounded by prostitutes, and he's just not well with it, right? He's having a hard time getting his shit together, and he kind of goes crazy, but his intentions are all good, right? He's a good person, but when you're surrounded with filth and you're surrounded in this muck, it changes. There's bad things about it, and the poetry to it is so amazing. It was written by Paul Schrader, who is also an amazing screenwriter. Of course, acted by Robert De Niro perfectly. One of these days, you will witness this film, and it is pure, beautiful cinema. It's one of the most beautiful filmed things I've ever seen. The Kid, Charlie Chaplin's The Kid. One of the first 1 hour movies ever. So it's actually an hour. He normally did shorts up to that point. This was a full hour. The Kid is beautiful. A silent film that will absolutely make you cry. It has a sadness to it and a beauty that is so, again, poetic. It will always be one of my top films of all time. And I could go on forever and ever and ever. I won't. But that's where those will be my top, let's say, echelons. So It will now be up to you.
Oof. That was a really good list, too. And real quick, too, I remember watching Jaws in the theater this past year, and me seeing the movie before, not in cinema, but I've seen the movie before, and I jumped at multiple parts that were super scary. So I love Jaws a lot. Obviously, behind me, Sinners is a great movie.
That's not fair. I should have had posters for mine too. That's not fair.
Right. Recency bias will put me on Sinners, but I think a lot of people know that my favorite movie is Boys in the Hood. John Singleton, Ice Cube. It's such a good movie. I like the coming of age is probably one of my favorite genres. I'm working on a screenplay about coming of age and something about that in South Central LA. Being a part of that culture is very
the greatest. One of the most amazing things in that film was the very opening. Very opening. It pulls right up to a stop sign. Stop. Right. You can take that so many different ways. Stop. We have something to tell you because there's some shit going on that you guys don't know about in the hood. Or stop the violence for everybody, right? There's so many poetic ways of doing it. Singleton weaved that in throughout everything.
And John Singleton is such a raw and emotional director.
Was R.I.P.
The whole was R.I.P. His body of work is a little bit similar, to himself, but it's still very, very, very one after the other. He's great. He's such a great filmmaker. I love him and I miss him so much. Another one of my favorite movies, Return of the King, Lord of the Rings. I don't know. Something
specifically the third one.
Specifically the third one. I don't know. There's something about, and it might just because watching, Fellowship and Two Towers, but the culmination of the final, them going to Mount Doom, and not so much, everyone in that movie is still really good, but it's the story between Frodo and Samwise Gamgee that you're like, holy shit. They've just climbed Mount Doom. Samwise Gamgee, he can't carry the ring for Frodo,
my goodness.
But he can carry him.
I get choked up every time.
So much. It's such a good.
Oh my goodness. I get choked up every time he says that.
So good, man. It's so good. Why am I blanking on his name that directed it?
Peter Jackson.
Peter Jackson, man, his fantastical, like mind is crazy. Like, how do you put those pages into a cinematic masterpiece? You know what I mean?
It's amazing. Insane. So 2 things, right? Number 1, every movie that Peter Jackson did prior to The Lord of the Rings was completely different. I mean, his stuff was gore, weird stuff. And Lord of the Rings is that's a book that nobody could do. You can't make a movie out of it. And I remember, my father would read Lord of the Rings, right? I grew up a huge Lord of the Rings, Dungeons and Dragons is based on Lord of the Rings, basically. And I was huge fan. And they're coming out with a movie. All right, maybe. But holy shit. I mean, what a world you can just be immersed in.
There's nothing that could have prepared me to see such a, like, talking about casting, right? Like, every single character in Lord of the Rings has a story, has a plot line, and has emotional beats to their character that drives that story forward.
Yeah.
It's the culmination of Lord of the Rings is one of my favorite things of all time. And I can talk about Lord of the Rings on and on.
Oh, sure. And it's a marathon, right? It's definitely a marathon to do. But it was so perfectly done. And it's funny. I almost think of the actors too, which you don't normally think of that, but these actors spent 6-7 years together. Right.
Probably.
So like the end filming of Lord of the Rings had to be emotional, right? It's hell. Like, holy shit, these are like, I basically just spent 10 years of my life with these people.
Yeah. And
now we're leaving. So it to me, that's also just adds to the beauty of it, right? It was really well done.
Moving on to Return of the King, then my favorite Jordan Peele movie, Get Out.
The original,
I can't even, like, what?
That's his first, right? That was
his first directed movie. And obviously Jordan Peele's known for the Key and Peele sketches and being this most hilarious, Barack Obama impression. Like, he's hilarious. And then he steps into the mind of psychological horror, and it blows me and everyone else away.
Yeah. Hands down.
I can't even like think of like words to describe how much this movie like means to me and how much it like just. I feel like this is like the first foot forward for what Ryan Coogler is doing right now because of Jordan Peele.
Sure.
Like,
absolutely.
Like he's so inspirational, and I love Jordan Peele so much. It's insane.
Yeah, he did for horror what John Carpenter did for horror in the 70s, right? With Halloween. He did what Alfred Hitchcock did for horror in the 50s. He reinvented it, right? He changed it. He changed the whole game with that one movie.
And I like all three of his movies. Like, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
Get Out, Us, and Nope. They're all a part of my top 10 list and everything. It's just Get Out is the first, like, you put yourself in this situation, and could be a very real situation for many black men in America that this happens to them. Like, it's scary. This is real scary. Us and Nope is more of a fantastical, like, sci-fi-ish movie. This feels real, and this feels scary. And the performances from the whole cast is crazy.
I mean, there's a philosophy to it too, right? That I think is an undertone of it. Like, right, the white people are stealing the blacks' youth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's not, Elvis stole the black music, right? We stole the Nike shoes. You know what I mean? Like, they're in a poetic sense. We've taken their culture basically for our own, and made us young. There's a lot to it.
Yeah,
under the surface, over the surface, and everything. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I love Get Out. And then
It's a great movie.
Another one, this might surprise a lot of people, I'm not quite sure, but I love the original 1971, 72, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I don't know what it is, but watching that, I was like blown away. You know, this is a timeless classic. Gene Wilder is probably, in my opinion, one of the best actors of all time.
Agreed.
He's so versatile. The way that he carries the character of Willy Wonka is eerie, but like in a playful way. And you know, when just the little lines that he does, he's like, oh no, when Augustus Gloop falls into the to the chocolate river, like, dude, like this is amazing. This is timed perfectly, and he's so great. All of the musical aspects, like it's beautiful. Like it's so beautiful. I can't even explain.
Yeah, he played crazy good, but safely good. You know what I mean? It was like crazy, but safely crazy, and that almost made it more creepy.
And even in the end, right, when you have Charlie, you know, him and his Uncle Joe, you know, they do the fizzy lifting drinks, and you know, they get, you know, in trouble. You know, Charlie loses, and then that whole monologue, "You lose, good day, sir," and then Charlie takes the everlasting gobstopper, put it on the table, and he wins. Like that moment is so. That's all Willy Wonka wanted was the trust and everything to culminate into that. So I really like Willy Wonka.
Oh, it's a great movie. It's you're right. It's timeless. It's timeless. It's a great story.
I read up on like a lot of the stuff that, you know, it's based off a book from like way back.
Ronald Dahl. Yep.
So weird. That whole side is so strange and weird, and adapting it into this you know, childlike, playfully way, but also very eerie. I thought worked perfectly, very perfectly. And it being in the 70s is like, movies back then obviously are well crafted and kind of better than movies that are coming out now, just because of the practical side of it. Like comparing it to the Johnny Depp version, right? That's all like CGI and whatever, but
terrible.
Nothing means more when you see the group of kids walk into the chocolate factory and run around and eat that chocolate. It's all real. It looks so good.
This actually reminds me. Remember when we were at the film festival, and we were talking about how I was saying how modern films, for whatever psychological reason, always go into a little bit too much depth of, you know, over explaining things, right? And I think that's the case here too with Willy Wonka, the old one. They just said, hey, he owned a chocolate factory. That's all you got. You didn't. That's it. That's all you needed, right? You didn't need his whole backstory. You don't even need him as a child. And then, of course, the newer one, it went into his whole, he was afraid of dentists or chocolate. I forget what the hell this whole thing was. Right. But you don't need it, right? Sometimes less is more. And in this case, all you needed was Gene Wilder to play the part, right? That's it.
Right.
All the explanation is right there in the performance. So yeah, please continue.
And then quickly, I do have I have like a list of 10 movies, but I'm gonna talk about two simultaneously. Black Klansman and Green Book. There's a whole lot of controversy with Green Book, and I don't really understand. Well, I do understand, but it's still an amazing movie. Talking about Viggo in Return of the King, he was amazing in Green Book. Mahershala Ali, this is what kind of made me fall in love with him. I love a lot of people do say it's a white savior movie, and I do kind of sort of agree-ish, but there's just the powerful scenes that happen in that movie between Mahershala and Viggo were very, very, very powerful. And I think that's also based off a book. I don't remember if it was. I don't remember.
It's based on a true story.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
It's a true story.
Yeah. It was well acted and well produced. And then Black Klansman.
Spike.
My favorite Spike Lee movie. Granted, I haven't seen a lot of his movies, but John David Washington, I think, was amazing. Adam Driver was amazing too, and it's also another true story, which is even crazier that a black man was trying to infiltrate the KKK, and then it's a whole thing. The movie's amazing. And I don't even know if you remember, but this is one of the movies, along with Seven, that inspired me to, you know, come back into the Little Detectives universe, because I was watching buddy cop movies and a lot. So Black Klansman was one of those movies that I was like,
oh, I see it. I see that. Yeah.
so great. It's so amazing. And I love the soundtrack of Black Klansman a lot. I love that soundtrack.
Oh my
the
God.
the score, it's so amazing. And
Yeah.
then
Can't get wrong with Spike Lee.
it's so great too. Fight Club. Surprised you didn't say anything about that, but yeah, Fight Club.
Yeah.
I don't know, like it's such a, you know, it's a film bro movie, right? But then you have this, you know, that you said in the first episode, there was a lot of machoism about it, and it's kind of anti that, you know. It's so smart. It's so, Ed Norton and Brad Pitt, I think, are not, like, these performances I feel like people don't think about when they think of Brad Pitt or Ed Norton. Maybe don't think of Fight Club, but I immediately think of that, and I don't know. It's a powerful movie. And then the ending, right? The ending is probably the best ending of all time. I don't know, the song at the end, you know, Where's My Mind? It's
funny you should mention. So, no, I totally agree. Fight Club was amazing. David Fincher really took that on. I wish I could have made that, because I wrote it in film school. My favorite book at the time that I was reading is called Fight Club. It was a cool book. It's still one of my favorite books of all time. The book is better than the movie. Sorry, everybody, but please read the book. And Chuck Palahniuk wrote the book. His body of work as writer is phenomenal. But Fight Club was amazing. The ending actually in the book is better than the ending in the movie, in my opinion. They could have done something differently. Didn't, but it still works. Fight Club was absolutely perfect. It was perfect. This is my generation, right? It was talking to my generation. There's a few other films that are like Fight Club that kind of tell the same story, but just different times. So, The Graduate. Fight Club is The Graduate for my generation. The Graduate came out in the 60s with Dustin Hoffman. And essentially it was, after you're done school, everybody has all these expectations, and fuck all that. You don't know what the hell to do. You're lost. And The Graduate was perfect for the 60s generation. Fight Club was more for us. It's also kind of like the movie Brazil, which is a Terry Gilliam movie, which really technically should be on my favorite movie list. Brazil is one of the greatest epic movies of all time. And the nut of that story is, in order to be truly free in this society, you have to go crazy. Right? You're going to have some sort of mental illness in order to be free, because all of the trappings, you know, capitalism, expectations of your parents, expectations of everybody, falling in love, and all this stuff. You know, oh, are you a man? Or you're not a man? Or you blah, blah, blah. All of this stuff. You know, getting a job, you have to follow those rules. It will drive you crazy. And the only way to really find true freedom is to lose your fucking mind, right? And that's what the main character does, basically, in Fight Club. That's what, in Brazil, that's essentially what happens. Yeah. And they're told two different ways, but it's the same exact idea. It was a perfect punch to capitalism. It was a perfect punch to society, you know, what we should do, what we think. And there was a childish to it, right? Tyler Durden is more of a childish character, which makes
that cool guy that you always wanted to be, right? You figure yourself to be, you know.
But he also had, you know,
that,
yeah. And so I thought it was perfect. It was a great movie.
It is a perfect movie.
Yeah, it would absolutely be on my top list for sure. I feel I'm just a little bitter.
Right.
I would have loved to write that.
And then before we move on to the other topic, another one that a lot of people don't even know, it's called The Harder They Fall. It is a Western. It's a black Western with oh my gosh, I'm blanking on all these names right now. The Harder They Fall with Regina King is in it. Lakeith Stanfield is in it. Oh my gosh, why am I forgetting the guy who played Kang? Oh my goodness.
Oh, the guy they
Jonathan Majors. Sorry,
yeah.
Jonathan Majors. He's the main character, and I'm not really a big fan of like Western, cowboy thing. It's not, something I'm too interested in. But just the way that it's written with all these different characters, and it's an ensemble cast, and Zazie Beetz is in it. I don't know. There's something about like this the characters that they have to get big. This big brawly guy played by Idris Elba, and keeping their town together. Something, I don't know. It felt very like Lord of the Rings, but in a Western. Even though Lord of the Rings kind of is a Western, but like, I don't know. There's the culmination of the characters, and then again.
Hold on, wait. Are you saying that the tagline of this in the poster, it should say, "It's Lord of the Rings, but a black Western"?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Is that what it should have said?
That's the perfect.
I would go see that. Oh my god, that's a great way to sell the movie.
But yeah, it's just the score again. I love the score of it. It's, I don't know, the characters.
Is it modern music? Or
no.
Okay.
It's more, I don't know how to say what it is, but it's more, it's a black Western, and it has some hip hop beats to it, but it's very still cowboy Western movie, and it's another favorite of mine.
I have one to add. I will add this quickly.
Mm-hmm.
American Werewolf in London.
Okay, yeah.
Horror movie. John Landis. I'm going to tell you this why. My father, for whatever reason, allowed me to watch very bad movies at a very young age. And I'm talking like bad, like Fritz the Cat, like partially X-rated cartoons, right, at a very young age. Cheech and Chong. Things like this. And American Werewolf in London, which in a sense is kind of a lighthearted horror. It's kind of comedy. It's sort of funny in certain ways, but at the crust of it, it is a terrifying horror movie. Done so well. Scared the shit out of me. And I mean like scared, like literally crying, like not being able to sleep, crying shit. The special effects in that is so damn good. The howl, when you watch this movie, the howl that this werewolf makes is so piercing and so goddamn scary that even when I hear it today, I'm like, ooh.
Right.
And again, it was ingrained in our culture that people don't even realize. Thriller. John Landis directed the video for Thriller, Michael Jackson. Guess what? Guess what it was based on? American Werewolf in London, right? So, again, one of the greatest movies that a lot of people don't even know or realize.
Yeah. It's amazing. Alrighty. Moving on. Do you want to do... What do you want to do next? Do you want to do bad movies, I guess, or...
Yeah, let's do bad. Sure.
Okay. This is going to be short. For me.
It's hard.
I don't watch a lot of bad movies. I mean, I watch a lot of bad movies, but I don't... it's not like my least favorites or anything. It's not really something that I get interested in.
In general, I like even bad movies because, again, this is a subjective art form. I know because we make movies. This is somebody's idea, right? Somebody spent a lot of time making this movie, a lot of effort, a lot of energy, a lot of time away from their family, a lot of brain power, probably a lot of money. So even bad movies, I still can at least say, look, this was somebody's idea. It may not have worked for me, but whatever. So it's hard to come up with a list of movies I don't like, right? I'll let you go first.
Okay, so I have, I think, 4 or 5. Yeah, 5. Recent movies. I think these are all actually recent movies. Now that I'm looking at this list, War of the Worlds, Ice Cube. It's like a Zoom camera movie remake.
Right.
Oh, that was terrible. Snow White remake with Gal Gadot. There's something about live action Disney movies that are just
Nope.
doesn't work. Usually it doesn't work. Sometimes it finds that charm, but with Snow White, man, it legit, I think, disrespects the original 1940s, 1930s animated movie in so many ways. And then
I agree.
Morbius, right? Morbius. I hate that movie so much.
The comic book.
Yeah, so obviously there's no surprise we're both comic book fans.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and Morbius is not even like a main Spider-Man villain, and him getting a movie was confusing. And then, right, Jared Leto, his whole thing is very, it doesn't really bode well with me. And then, funny enough, there was like a fake Twitter account that was under Martin Scorsese, and he was like, he was saying how good Morbius was. Obviously, it was the fake Twitter account. And Tyrese Gibson, one of the actors in Morbius, was like, "See, I told you, Martin Scorsese says Morbius is good."
Oh, no shit.
Now they're messing with you, man. It's
That's
bad.
hilarious.
And there's a parody movie called Not Another Church Movie. It's a parody on the Tyler Perry movies.
Oh, right.
Sure, Tyler Perry isn't the greatest filmmaker there. Some of his stuff is funny, but this was trying to make fun of Tyler Perry.
Right.
And somehow it was even worse than Tyler Perry.
It's worse than a Tyler Perry movie.
It was all over the place.
Oh, that's meta. That's crazy.
Yeah. But if you have any, go ahead.
I do. So there's a movie in the 90s, I guess, that came out called While You Were Sleeping with Sandra Bullock, and I think it's Bill Pullman. And no shit and no lie, I saw it in the theater and I fell asleep. And the name of the movie is called While You Were Sleeping. I literally fell asleep in the movies. It was a god-awful, boring movie. Don't even remember what it's about. I think her boyfriend or husband falls, is catatonic in a coma, and she falls in love with his friend while he's,
Wow.
I think it was something like that. Honestly, I can't remember, obviously, because I fell asleep.
You fell asleep.
Everybody, so as a filmmaker, right, a lot of people will say, especially for cinematography, will say that the movie Days of Heaven is one of the greatest. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think so. I did not enjoy Days of Heaven at all. I thought it was dry. It just didn't work with me. It didn't resonate in any way. So that would be one. There's a movie called A Serbian Film. Mm-hmm. It's banned in the U.S. And naturally, just because I like weird stuff, I'm like, well, I got to check this movie out. Banned in the U.S. And I'm not going to lie, it's the hardest movie to watch. Not necessarily because it's bad or anything. The content is very, very, very dark. I mean, very dark. Supposedly the filmmakers say that the movie's about corruption in Serbia. However, watching the movie, I don't understand the correlation of it. Basically, the movie is about an ex-porn star who is hired by the mob to do one last porn. And it increasingly gets very disgusting moving forward. This is one of the movies that when you're done watching it, you can't really say anything for a little while. And you probably have to take a shower. Because you're like, I don't think I should have even seen that. I don't understand the artistic. I usually can see some sort of artistic thing to it, but it was hard. It was hard to watch. So I would not recommend that to anybody. Right. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I had.
Yeah. All right, and then we can move on to the most disappointing ones.
Yes.
Yeah. Again, back to that comic book mind of mine, right? I think it's no surprise to you and to everyone that knows me, The Flash is my favorite character, superhero, anything of all time. I love The Flash so much. The show, the animated cartoon, and then of course when I wasn't, like happy with the Ezra Miller casting. I thought, the Justice League movie was bad on its own, and I don't think he played Barry Allen to anything. But then the Flash movie gets announced, and I'm like, okay. First off, I'm excited. The Flash has never had his movie. He never really had his spotlight in the mainstream. He had, a TV show forever, which is amazing. One of my favorite TV shows. And then the Flash movie gets announced, and I'm like, okay, boom, I'm ready. This is his moment. This is his time. Andy Muschietti, who I don't know if you know what he's done, but he did the It movies, which are pretty freaking good. They're really good. They're really good horror.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. And they're taking my favorite comic book of all time, the Flashpoint Paradox, where the Flash goes back in time and saves his mom, and everything goes crazy.
Sure.
And then I watched the movie, and then everything is just wrong.
It was a mess.
They bring back Michael Keaton Batman, and you're like, oh shit, it's Michael Keaton Batman, and then they kill him, and you're like, what? They bring in Supergirl, who hasn't been in the mainstream media since that awful movie with Christopher Reeve, and then she's not the best, and the whole Black Flash thing, him coming back, that's himself. It's all confusing. It's not at all an adaptation of the Flashpoint Paradox, and then the main villain isn't even Reverse Flash, which is kind of the whole point of what the Flash is trying to beat. This is the whole point of why he does that. And then so awful. The CGI was bad. The story was lackluster. And then
No,
I don't
agree.
even want to get into Ezra Miller because that's a whole nother thing. But
now that you mention it, that is a pretty big disappointment. And I think the whole thing, unfortunately, they banked everything on Michael Keaton being Batman again. Like, that was it. That was the reason to go see the movie. That was it.
And it's like, yes, I love Michael Keaton Batman. He's clearly the best. But why is he the main focus of a Flash movie if he's not the Flash?
Exactly.
Like,
Flash,
it's not making sense.
Flash couldn't carry his own movie. They had to get somebody from 1989 back to carry the movie.
Yeah. And then, dude, at the end of the movie, freaking George Clooney comes back as Batman. Like, it's awful. It's so bad. As a Flash,
I agree.
It's
it was a big miss. A big miss.
And then I can talk about another Batman versus Superman. The trailers leading up to that was cool. I think you remember I have a poster in my room growing up. Love Batman versus Superman. And then watching the movie, you're like, no, that's not a good movie. I
think they tried to do too much, for sure.
Well, they're trying to catch up to Marvel, which was the bad idea to do, because even what James Gunn is trying to accomplish, you're not going to catch up to Marvel. And I love the new DC universe, but you're never going to catch up to Marvel. That's just not going to happen.
Do your own thing.
Yeah. And then Star Wars, we talked a little bit about. I wasn't, growing up in at all the original ones, but you showed me, and they were great. And then I love the prequels, even though some people might not like the prequels. And then coming back, right? I think it was 2012, 2015. I forget when The Force Awakens came out. We're all cool. There's some things I don't like about that movie, but I was still excited about that movie. And then they announced The Last Jedi, which it seemed like a cool concept. Luke Skywalker's coming back.
Right.
And then we watched The Last Jedi. And it's the worst Star Wars movie I've ever seen in my life. They take it so disrespectful to Luke Skywalker's character in that movie. He throws his lightsaber in the water when Rey brings it to him.
Right.
And we find out that he was training Kylo Ren and tried to kill Kylo Ren. Like, okay, no, this is not Luke Skywalker.
It ruined it. Yeah, it ruined the whole thing.
I don't know what that's about. Okay, and then my final disappointing movie. I know you might disown me.
I knew where this was coming.
Yeah, so we watched Goodfellas, right? And my God, that is one of the best movies of all time. And then you tell me, hey, I got another, mobster movie with these characters in it, or these actors in it, called Casino. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm excited. This is really cool. There's a cool vibe to this. 30 minutes of the movie, I'm asleep. It's something about maybe the duration, maybe it's something about watching Goodfellas before this and trying to think about Goodfellas the entire time that I don't know if it was not clicking with me, but I just did not like Casino.
Yeah, I mean it definitely shows that I failed as a parent. For sure. But it is a different vibe. Casino is very boom, direct. Casino takes a little bit of time. It's a little bit more lavish, right? It's sort of Scorsese saying, okay, I did this in Goodfellas. Let me expand on it and make it bigger and broader and more flashier, because he did a lot more camera stuff in Casino. So I get it. It's longer and there are slower moments and it takes a little bit longer to get to where it's going. I still love the flashiness of it. I still love the characters in it. The acting in it, I like. Again, it's a true story. Just like Goodfellas is.
But I don't think it's like a bad movie by any means. It's just like
it didn't reach the level.
Off the highs of watching Goodfellas, you're like, okay, I'm good for another mobster movie, and then I don't know, something about Casino it's not the same as Goodfellas, and I don't know.
I see what you're saying. It's a different vibe for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I have for disappointing for me. I'm curious to what you have to say.
I'll just do two real quick. So the Springsteen movie that just came out, whatever the hell that was called, I don't even remember the name of it. Delivery, yeah. I don't know. I like Springsteen. I like Buy-Ups. I actually even like that actor. He's pretty good. And I thought it would say something because, Bruce Springsteen, in general, his music says something, means something.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell is going on in this movie, honestly. Like midway through, me and Shelby are like, what is this even about? Like, what are we trying to show? It didn't. Maybe for somebody who, it was him. I guess it's about him doing this one record. In the movie, he's already famous, kind of, even though he was totally famous. And it just sort of went nowhere. Like, there was this girl, but then there wasn't this girl, and I don't know how that related to him making the record. It didn't even really go into the songs, I don't think, of that were on the record. I don't know. I feel like it was an inside joke. It was like an inside story that I wasn't a part of.
And it's weird because they talked a bit about his depression while making it, but then they never really dug deep into why he was feeling this way,
right?
Or what it meant to be Bruce Springsteen, that popular. And
I would feel bad if that's your representation. If the only thing that you have to go on is that movie about Springsteen, is all that you know about Springsteen. Oh my God, no! It was terrible. I thought it was a garbage movie. I think it just didn't have anything to do with anything. I felt. I don't know what was going on with that. And then, so I'll bring up episode 1, the prequels to Star Wars. Now, again, I'm not saying this is bad. I'm just saying it was disappointing.
Right.
So, if you put it into the perspective, now the prequels have now become their own iconic thing, right? From your generation. And that's a beautiful thing, right? That's just like we were talking about. I would talk about the originals with people. You talk about that with them, and it's your own thing, which is great because that's perfect, right? That's how it should be. However, Return of the Jedi came out in 83, I think it was, and that was it, right? George Lucas even said, "Now we're not doing another Star Wars. Technology isn't there. We're not doing anything else." Nope. For years, so all we had were the 3. At one point, he redid the 3 in a real shitty way and added a bunch of stuff, and we were like, nah, fuck that. Let's keep going. Let's just have the old stuff. Then, whatever. Possibly because he got divorced, he needed to make some more money. So then all of a sudden, now we have, we're going to do the new trilogy of the prequels. The story he always wanted to make, the story of how Darth Vader became Darth Vader. Sure, whatever. The excitement level was ridiculous. The trailers people were crying. Like, you see the freaking trailer, you're like, holy shit. Walmart had a big tent sale in their parking lot. The whole parking lot was a giant tent filled with the toys, filled with all the new toys. Bought all of them. Oh my god, we're gonna get all these new toys, because we're still playing with the freaking old toys, right? We're still collecting them. So this was huge, right? Huge. The iconic poster for episode 1, right? The little boy in the shadow is fucking Darth Vader. Oh my god, like what? Holy shit. People were freaking out about this movie. Everybody bought midnight tickets. It's coming out, whatever, Friday night, midnight. Fuck yeah. Go to the theater. You're waiting in line. Remember when you had to wait in line to go to a movie? I remember that. We actually had to wait in line.
Yeah.
There was no Fandango that you do on an app. Like, you waited in line, right? So we do that. There's people dressed up. You see Boba Fett. You see people fighting with swords. Movie comes on. You see the scroll. You hear the music. You're ready to cry, right? You're like, I'm finally seeing Star Wars again. You get the scroll thing, and then the movie starts. And I don't know what was going on. Halfway through, you hear people literally moan in the movie theater. Like, you literally heard people go, oh. And I've never seen Boba Fett cry. But leaving that theater when that movie was over, I saw Boba Fett cry. Now, granted, again, I think the expectation was so high, and we haven't seen it for so long, and we love it for so much, that this just, man, it was like, oh, I don't know about that. Now, granted, throughout the years, it's gained its own thing, and that's perfect. By no means am I saying it's bad, but it was just a disappointment at the time. So that's all I will say about that.
All right.
What about movies that surprised you that you didn't have big expectations?
Yeah. I'm just gonna talk about 2. There is a lot of movies that have surprised me, but recently I went on this Ben Affleck tirade, right? And I'm like, okay, I want to see what Ben Affleck can do in the director's chair. So I watched The Town, and I watched his Western that he did. I forget the name of it. But then I watched Gone, Baby, Gone. And I was like, okay, Casey Affleck is in it. It's probably going to be really good. And then that movie made me cry, man. That's such a good, story. Retired, private investigators that, go through a missing kid. And then, have you ever seen that movie?
I have not. I have not seen it yet.
Oh, man, dude. It's so good. Just the whole, the white trash family that loses their kid, and there's this whole speculation, and then come to find out at the end, Morgan Freeman's retired police captain. He took the child from her, and I don't know. There's something about it that was mind-boggling, and then Eddie Gethige's in it, and he's like a drug dealer, that he's trying to get information from, and he says the title. He does she's gone, baby, gone.
And if that girl only hope is you, well, I pray for her. 'Cause she's gone, baby. Gone.
Oh, I got you.
That's so amazing. And then the other one is, you told me to watch this movie for an upcoming project that we're trying to make. Less Than Zero, the Robert Downey Jr. movie. I had no idea what I was going to.
That movie is tight.
I had no idea what I was getting myself into whatsoever. I was like, okay, let's try to get into this mind of a druggie, not knowing what was, I was clicking and watching, and seeing Robert Downey Jr. in it. And maybe it surprised me because of how real it felt, and maybe because that's Robert Downey Jr. Probably what he actually physically went through in
right.
So it's a scary experience, and growing up in that teenage life where you're kind of thrown into these situations that could be or could not be real. It was amazing. It was a role.
It's an underrated movie for sure.
Yeah, it's so amazing. I do recommend Less Than Zero to everybody, because it's so raw. I love raw filmmaking, and that's a very raw film. It's so good. It's so good.
I agree. I agree. My list. So Chef.
Mm.
I had no effing idea what the movie even was. Shelby's like, "Hey, let's watch Chef." Okay. Holy shit. That movie is powerful. What a beautiful, powerful movie that is. Jon Favreau, genius in this movie. It was so good. I love father and son movies. Right, that's just a brilliant movie. The Peanut Butter Falcon
I love that
with
movie. Shia LaBeouf.
He's in the news now for bad stuff, but the Peanut Butter Falcon was, again, just a beautiful, poetic, well filmed, well acted. What a great story! What a heartfelt story, right? Again, it's these things that are off that make everything beautiful. You know, this kid who is not normal, as you say, and Shia LaBeouf character isn't the normal. Doesn't have the normal life. It just makes it so much more beautiful, right? That there's something else out there, right? Than what we're contained to. And I think it's so poetic and beautiful. I had no idea when I watched it. I was like, oh my God. I had no idea this movie even existed. Yeah. This is a surprise. And again, another movie that you're going to have to eventually watch. It's from the 60s, I think 1967. It's called The Incident. It is Martin Sheen, a very early Martin Sheen. The whole movie takes place in a train car, or in a subway car, in a subway. I'm assuming New York City, where different groups of people. There's a black couple. There's an old Jewish couple. There's somebody else, like a nurse. They're all sitting on this train or subway car, and then a group of hoodlums, let's say, come into Martin Sheen's one of them. The gang kind of guys, they're drunk, fired up, and they pretty much just terrorize these people on this subway car. And it gets to that point where these normal people who do not want to do any conflict, are going to have to do something, right? And it's a tense movie. I mean, tense. You could feel it. And I had no idea that this existed. Nobody does. I've never heard anybody ever talk about this movie, ever. But somebody at work was like, hey, you gotta watch this. And holy shit, this movie is so perfect and riveting. I recommend it to everyone. So that's mine. It was surprising as hell.
Yeah. Some good movies over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we got that out of the way, so are you ready for the small screen spotlight?
I am.
Okay. So it's going to be a little bit of such a misdirect from all these, dramatic movies that we were talking about. The show that I'm talking about is Ted. I just binged the entirety of the season 1 and season 2, literally like not even 24 hours ago. But there's something about Ted that I don't know. I really, really enjoyed the comedy that Seth MacFarlane has created. Is so I don't know. It's so like hilarious to me. It's genuinely like eye-cryingly funny. And watching Ted and Ted 2 with Mark Wahlberg, you're like, okay, these are really funny. Sort of on the are they really that good? They're just a little bit funny. But then he makes his TV show, live action, Ted show. And you're like, whoa, this is even funnier than the first two movies. Like, this is the chemistry.
The show is better than the movie.
Yes.
Which usually never happens.
Never happens.
Never happens.
It's so weird. Like, the chemistry between John and Ted in the show is perfect. It's kind of, it's a sitcom, right? It's sort of like if Family Guy was live action. That's exactly what this show really was, and I love Family Guy a lot. And I don't know, there's something like the characters were, hilarious. It has that 80s nostalgia. They talk about Flash Gordon all the damn time, which is a bad good movie. It's hilarious. They talk about Star Wars. They talk about Raiders. They talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and And
Oh, nice.
the whole funny thing in the first season is the OJ trial, right? Like what's going to happen towards that, and you know the dad is very conservative and you know not very, you know, there's a funny line in season 2 where they're talking about Friday, the movie with
Ice Cube.
And the kid John is like, man, black people are so cool, and the dad literally goes, hey, you watch it. And it's like, oh my goodness, what the comedic timing that Seth MacFarlane has created is just perfect to me, and I love the show Ted. I don't know, that it's even weird to me, right? Because you had this idea of a talking teddy bear that comes to life,
Right.
and you're like, okay, this is a stupid idea, but you know, they make it funny with these raunchy jokes and kind of, you know, weed humor like Cheech and Chong created back then. It's hilarious to me. I don't know. You should definitely check it out if you're.
Yeah, I'd have to give it a chance. I mean, again, Seth MacFarlane. Yeah, right.
Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah. For some reason, that didn't sound right. He's ingrained in everything that we do, right? Family Guy. He's done movies. He's hosted award shows, right? He's been around that comedy realm forever. He has his hands in a lot of stuff. You know, so my show is somebody else that also has just done he has so much content. I mean, I don't know if this guy ever sleeps. Ryan Murphy. So mine is American Horror Story, which I guess was his flagship show, right? He's done American Horror Story, but he's then spun that into a ridiculous amount of shows, right? Nurse Ratched is one. Most recently, he's done The Beauty. He's done American Rivals. He's done basically all the serial killer stuff, right? American Monster, I think it's called, or Monster, right?
Yeah.
So he's done all of those, right? I mean, this guy cornered the market on grotesque, weird, sexual, you know, perversions, and his shows reflect that. And I love the fact that American Horror Story is even on television, because it is some of the darkest, weirdest, perverted, fringe stuff, and it's fantastic. Not every season, and the great thing too is every season is different, right? Tells a different story, but usually some of the same actors, right? So it's sort of like a theater group that change roles, right? And I love that. I love that whole idea of having a group of people, and we're just going to tell different stories. Not every season is you know, on the mark. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times he gets kind of so outrageous and so grotesque that midway through the season you're kind of like, okay, hold on, I don't know what the hell's going on anymore. Sometimes, but as a jump, if you know, watch season 1 till now, whatever they're at, I think the body of work is amazing. It's definitely worth the watch. If you're, I mean, again, it might not be for everybody, because there's some definitely disgusting and perverted and, you know, highly sexual and gay and everything, right? Everything is in this. It's a lot. So you know, if you can stomach it, the stories are great. I think just his whole gimmick, and again, he takes that into real life then. So he's done, right, the monster, like the Jeffrey Dahmer season was one of the greatest seasons of anything. He did the O.J. Simpson trial, which is, again, one of the greatest seasons. So there you go, 100%. I would say American Horror Story is right up there for me.
Awesome. Yeah, that's definitely one that I've been wanting to watch. But like you said, there's a lot of things that may or may not be feasible.
And the acting is amazing. The acting is fantastic in it.
But alrighty. So, moving on to the final topic of the evening, our movie of the month.
Movie of the month!
I like that. Yeah, so we got the wheel and it spun and it landed on Sorry to Bother You, which was my pick. And it is a very, very, very weird
Yeah.
Oakland setting. This guy is, going through the ranks of the workforce, and it's a very experimental, very original idea that I think a lot of people should watch if you're not even just if you're in the workforce aspect, just of life. How you can sell out, you can go through these weird promotions of life in general. It's directed by Boots Riley, came out in 2018, and I think this is a very under the radar film. It has no Oscar buzz, no real critical acclaim, but it's such a raw movie, and like I said, I love raw movies like this. It's well acted. I think to me, Lakeith Stanfield is one of my favorite actors of all time, and it really started with Sorry to Bother You, and just the soundtrack too, the score, again, like I kept saying, I love movies with great scores, and it really, 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 really encapsulated the eeriness of what it is to be a part of like a corporate building, I think. But if you have any thoughts before,
it's it blew me away. I loved it. What a awesome movie. It's sad that I didn't hear about this movie. I had no idea about it until you brought it up. I didn't know what it was about. Didn't know anything about it. That's too bad, because I think it should be told how great it is, and hopefully he's allowed to make more movies like this. Because that's important, right? That he can continue whatever the saga that he's on. I mean, this was insane. The movie was fucking insane. It said so much by saying so little, because there were so many undertones to everything, right? It was a complete artistic scape of racism, of capitalism, of that the carrot that's in front of you, in your job force, friendships, relationships, the assholes, science, what science, going on about, and how the public reacts to it. It even spoke upon, how dumb our public is. Mm-hmm. Even if they're provided with, hey, here's facts of some bullshit going on, they're going to be like, oh, okay. It has an idiosyncrasy to it. Yeah. But it's mixed in with so much funk and so much bizarre things. There's shades of anime to it. There's shades of Dr. Detroit, sort of black exploitation type things. There's shades of all kinds of art. There's shades of slam poetry in it. All kinds of cool performance stuff that is in it. Everybody did great. The cast was great. The music was great. The story was fantastic. There's nothing wrong with this film at all. It was bizarre. It had some bizarre shit in it, but the bizarre stuff was great. Right? Again, going back to when I was talking about 12 Angry Men, this is some of the things that I think filmmakers need to do, right? These types of movies. They need to say, there's a discussion that needs to be made, right? There's a discussion about all of this. We really need to talk about racism. Like, honestly, we really need to talk about capitalism. We really need to talk about what the fuck we're doing, right, on this planet. And every time somebody brings that up, there's always arguments. It never goes anywhere. But how can you start that conversation in a good way? And this is how you do it, right? You make this fucking film. So now it's out there in the ethos, and you're, the viewers are forced to have that conversation in their own head. What about this? His rap, the rap in there was genius. It was genius. Yeah. And
it's the subtle choices that Boots Riley that he does in this film. Like you said, there's so many corners of what is kind of happening to the world right now. Yeah. There's so many things. There's so many wrongs.
Right.
He puts them all into this movie, and he does them all justice, and by showing us this is fucked up, this is what's happening.
Right.
And making a weird, excellent film about it that, again, not a lot of people know about. And
Yeah.
And that's
It's the
another
Trojan
reason why I
horse,
love
right?
this movie.
It's the Trojan horse. He snuck
Yeah.
it. He made this great film, weird, so that weird people and people who can intellectually think can watch it. But he snuck in all this other stuff. He snuck in all the social stuff, right? It's in there. You just don't even know it. Brilliant idea, man. It was a great movie.
It's
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. That movie.
Yeah. It's genuinely one of my favorites too. And
Yeah, hands down.
I think a lot of people that are younger, like from that 15 to 18, maybe don't understand what this movie really is. But
Yeah,
watching it as like an older, and I'm only 21, but like watching it as an older mind to it is also very like speaking. It's like, this is what we're going through right now, and I understand what this means, and even people that everyone should watch this movie. Like it's speaking to so many different things. It's genuinely crazy. And I can't believe that not a lot of people talk about this movie. It came out in 2018. Like,
yeah, I'm surprised that I've never heard anything like. I mean, this movie really just hit every key right on. Like, there's I don't know. There's just sometimes not even just movies. Sometimes there's just pieces of art that just there it is. That's
Right.
the voice that you want to follow. And I mean, God, again, I really hope that it was at least critically acclaimed enough with Hollywood that he can continue to bring that Trojan horse a little bit closer in.
Right.
You know what I mean? Absolutely. That was a brilliant movie.
I love Boots Riley so much, and
I do now.
He has another movie coming out called I Love Boosters, which you saw the
Right.
trailer for it.
Yeah, looks great.
It's a definitely different approach, right? Because he's now kind of into that mainstream thing where he's just going to be weird with it. But I'm sure that movie's going to talk a whole bunch about what a
Keep it
booster
weird.
is
Keep
and
it weird.
stuff like that. So, but yeah, that is Sorry to Bother You. Again, if you have not watched this movie, I highly recommend it.
See it. 10 out of 10.
It's
Hands down.
so amazing. Please. But yes, let's go into the final segment of this a podcast episode with the Wheel of Cinema.
So next episode, we want to talk about biops because there's going to be a Michael Jackson biopic come out.
Yeah. If anyone knows me, or I get I just love Michael Jackson as a whole. I feel like everyone does love Michael Jackson. And so his biopic is probably the most anticipated of all time. Him being in my opinion, the best artist of all time, the biggest of all time. No one's ever going to reach Michael Jackson status. So we're dedicating the next episode to biopics like that.
And this film could go either way. It could end up in the most disappointing list. Absolutely. Right. You never know. So yeah, there's a lot of anticipation. So for the movie of the month, we're going to do 4 biopics. And whichever one it lands on, we watch. So if one of my 2 lands on, I do suggest that we watch it together.
Okay.
So I'm going to say that out loud.
Sure. Okay. What are your 2?
Mine are The Doors.
Okay.
Oliver Stone, Val Kilmer. Pop-Up's favorite band of all time.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite bands of all time. Very visceral film. And my second one is Richard Attenborough's Chaplin.
Okay.
Robert Downey Jr. I know everybody loves him as Iron Man, but the greatest performance that he's ever done is as Charlie Chaplin.
Sure.
Those are my 2.
Okay. And then for mine is one that I have not seen yet and I really want to watch. It is Ray, the Ray Charles one with Jamie Foxx. Really want to watch that. I'm gonna watch it either way if it doesn't land on the movie of the month, but it's awesome. And then the next one is my favorite biopic ever, is 42, the Jackie Robinson, Chadwick Boseman movie.
Chadwick Boseman.
Chadwick Boseman's so
yeah,
amazing, and
okay.
I miss him so much. So here we go. We got the wheel. We're gonna spin it. Oh, we're gonna spin it. Let's see what it is.
Oh, man.
It's another one of 42.
42, right? Is that what it landed on?
Jackie Robinson movie.
Nice.
Okay. So that
You know,
would
we could. By the way, you could still come over and we could still watch Chaplin.
Right.
Just saying. I'm just saying.
Completely fair. Yeah, we'll probably do that anyway.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. So next month we'll talk about 42. I mean, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of biopics gearing up for this Michael Jackson movie. So yeah, with that being said, I think we've covered a lot of bases today. And yeah, so we're going to end it off. Like, subscribe, comment, share. We love the support of this podcast, even though it's so young and so fresh. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next month.